Hi guys, Jono here from KD Studios. So today we are going to be looking at bass mixing. And this is something that I really struggled with in my early days. Trying to get that punchy low end, still cutting through, especially when you've got heavy distorted guitars. We're going to be using the basic stuff here, EQ, compression, saturation, but we're also using Hornet Autogain. Now this is going to smooth out the levels on the bass, on the peaks and the troughs, before you start to mix. And it makes everything so much easier. So we'll head on over to the session and take a look.
Alright guys, so here we are in the session. My bass tracks are looking lovely here in pink, and we are just going to have a little playthrough of how everything sounds together to get you an idea of what we're going for. Okay, and this is how the bass sounds on its own. Alright, so this is just a DI straight in, doubled onto two separate tracks and treated differently on each track, underneath a bass bus with a little bit more processing on the bus. So first things first, we're going to have a look at the aptly named Bass 1, because I am so very inventive. And we're going to just sort of go through each of these plugins and see what they're doing. So on its own, it sounds like this. First thing we have on here is TSEBOD. This is a SansAmp VST clone, and it's free, and it sounds fantastic. So these are my settings. Nothing majorly special going on there. This is how it sounds with it. Next up, we have a cab simulator with a bass cab IR on there. If I can remember where I got these bass cab IRs from, I will link to that in the description, so that you can go and find them yourself. So again, this is without, and then with. And with. So it's really starting to take shape now. That's giving the bottom end a lot more balls, and it's giving us that attack that we're after. And the last thing I have on here is just a bit of EQ. There was a boominess at 160 that I didn't like, so I pulled it a bit out. And that's what it sounds like with and with. Very subtle there, not much going on. And that's it for bass 1. Now we're going to move to bass dist, which is obviously our distorted bass track. So, again here, just the same DI copied over but at a lower volume. First thing we've got on here is EQ. I've just got a high pass at 300 and a low pass at 3K, which is just leaving us all this lovely mid-range that we're after, which, as you'll see, sounds horrible on its own, but it serves a purpose. And then after that we have another instance of TSEBOD, but on this one I have the drive pushed all the way up and the lows pulled all the way down. So have a listen to how this sounds. So again, together they sound like this. And obviously the great thing about doing it this way is that you can control the amount of distortion very easily with a single fader. So you can have less or more. We'll leave it about there for now. Finally, we have our bus processing. First thing I've got on here is Hornet Autogain Pro. This is an absolutely fantastic plugin. It just automates the volume and evens everything out within the sort of parameters that you set. So on this one, we've got it set to internal. You can do external, and you can sidechain it for various different applications, none of which we're going to use here. So we've got it set to internal. We've got it set to read the peak, not RMS. I've got the minimum gain set to -1, the maximum gain set to 1, the attack and release around 600-ish, 593 and 626. Vaguely 600-ish. So we'll listen to before and after on this. And with. So it's not doing a massive amount tonally, it's just, well, it's not doing anything tonally, it's just automating the volume and smoothing things out before we start to compress. And what that does is it allows your compressor to have an easier job of things. It's more for tonal reasons and less for actually trying to control your bass signal, which is good. So next thing, we've got saturation, EQ and compression, and I'll go through these and turn them on one by one so that we can get a feel for each one of these. It don't have to be Slate plugins. You can use any saturation, EQ and compression that you so wish. So first off, saturation. Here is before. And after. So not a lot of saturation going on there, just a teeny little bit, just to warm things up a touch. Next thing, EQ. I've got a low pass at 5k. I've got quite a large boost, so we've got 5.5 dB at 2.5k. And I've got a big 8.5 dB cut at 400, just below, with quite a wide Q. And we've got a little bit of a boost, 2.5 dB at 128, which was where I decided I found that it was quite nice to boost. And a high pass filter at just below 50. So let's have a listen to before and after for this one. And with. So that's really bringing out that bottom end and that sort of cut-in mid-range that we need to hear it above the guitars. And finally, we have a little bit of compression. We've just got this one set to 4:1, medium attack, medium release. It's 100% wet, so we're not doing any parallel kind of stuff. And there's no makeup gain on it. And I just pulled the threshold up until I felt it sounded nice, really. It's generally what I do with compression. Okay, so we'll give this a do. And with. Okay, so there's not a lot of compression there. As you can see, from the wee needle, we're only getting about 2 dB gain reduction on that bass. And that's because the auto gain is doing its job before the compressor, so the compressor doesn't have to work as hard. And that, my friends, is it for bass. That's all I do. That's it, we're done. I'll have a little playthrough again, and then I'll say goodbye.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. As ever, please hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and leave me a comment. Let me know how you guys mix bass, if you've got any questions at all. Please also, if you would like to watch some more videos, head on over to my website at acadianstudios.com. Thanks.